Hello and welcome to another episode of Bum with a Wrench. I'm your host Daniel, and today we're going to continue on the Galaxy 7 liter here. I got the condenser installed, got the receiver dryer installed. We put all this together, well, we painted it. I put it together off screen. I put about, I think it was an ounce of oil. I think it was an ounce of oil. It was 1.5. Yeah, it was I think it was 1.5 in the receiver dryer and then an ounce in the actual condenser of 134 PAG oil. This has the yellow dye in it, so in case you got any leaks, you can track it down with a black light. I also went and put the evaporator in the evaporator box and put the box back in the car. Now I did film all of that, and it was very in the style of the last video, which I wasn't very happy with. So moving forward, what I'm going to do, just to kind of go over what I did and to bring you up to speed on where we're at now. The evaporator box is in place. When I had that out, somebody down the line, I don't know if it was the person that did the restoration on the car or who it was, but the box itself is in very poor condition. Will it work? Yes, it'll work just fine. The problem with it is that this is a very nice, rare car. It needs to be at a better quality than the one that's actually in it right now. It'll work. I can plug everything up and make it work. I actually went through a lot of the mechanical processes, electrical processes, that kind of stuff to make sure it was going to work. And it will. I could totally finish the job with it like this and it would be just fine. However, I wanted to try and find a new condenser box for it, which if you've ever tried to do any restorations on Fords, you'll know that it is basically impossible to find parts for these cars. Amazingly enough, when I searched for, climate control box, evaporator, core box, use all the words, you just start putting all the words together into Google and see what pops up. Found all kinds of boxes for the heater cars. So there's two types of cars. There's the AC cars, and then you got just the heater cars where they just have a heater in them. Like my car. My car is just a heater car. There are no AC boxes that I could find. Now, I've been looking for this box for months now, and you can't find one. They're just not out there. And if they do pop up, I wasn't aware of it, and it must have sold quickly. I don't know. I never saw one. So I need to get this car fixed, and I need to fix that AC box in a way that's going to be good for the car. It's just not right. So this outer shell here is actually in three pieces. There's the inner ring, there's the main body that bolts to the inner ring, and then there's a cap right there on top of where the evaporator actually is. And so if you ever go to change the evaporator, it's supposed to be pretty straightforward. You just take this upper lid off right here. There's a few bolts, and that evaporator pops right out. It's supposed to be super simple. However, whoever had this box before, worked on this box, one, they lost all the hardware. So the hardware you see going through the firewall into the inner box, completely not right. They're really long, screws from Home Depot or something. I don't know where they're from. So the hardware is not right. The box themselves are actually painted black. They're not supposed to be that way. It's kind of like it's some kind of composite that they used back in the 60s. It reminiscent of like crushed carbon. I'll show you what it's supposed to look like on my 65. The material is the same. Obviously, the box is different. So this is the heater box on my 65. You see how it's got like a gray texture to it. You can kind of see the whatever material it's made out of almost kind of, like I said, reminiscence of like a crushed carbon. That's what it's supposed to look like. You can see where mine is actually cracked up there in the corner, just the very edge of it is a little bit damaged. No big deal on this car because this car is going to go completely custom. So it'll probably get some kind of vintage air kit or something like that in it. But this car, like we were talking about before, being that it is rare, I want the air conditioning, one, to be exactly the way it's supposed to be from the 60s, and then two, I want it to be right, have all the right hardware. Everything is glued together. So this whole piece is now one piece. Somebody glued all three of those components together to make one solid piece and then painted it black. And so you can kind of see, you know, right here where some of the glue is hanging out. The thing is in pretty rough shape, cracked up there. There's a bunch of cracks around it. The heater box looks a little bit better, but it is painted. So that was a problem. And I did put it back together and I put it in the car because really I don't have any other choice because I don't have another box. But as I started putting it back in the car and going down that path, you know, I was really just kind of like, why am I fixing this if I know I'm just going to take it all back apart? I'm going through all the process, trying to fix the vacuum lines, trying to fix all the different components. And I need to get this box replaced. So I thought, okay, well, let me hold off and I'll try and find a box in some way to get a box. Reach out to my contacts, you know, look around on the internet, try and see if I can find a box. So I put a hold on that. That's why I haven't really gone any farther with this car, is because, you know, I want to change that box. This car deserves it, being that it is rare and nice. So, but I didn't want to just gloss over this part because there's some interesting aspects to the air conditioning that is important, and maybe there's somebody out there that's actually trying to work on one of these air conditioning systems, and I've dove into it, you know, pretty hard, and so I got a good understanding of how all of this works. And so what I wanted to do before I tear this back out of the car is I wanted to kind of go over how the system works. That way, if you've got a Galaxy or a, you know, I'm sure Fairlane, there's probably a few of the Fords that are real similar to how this one is. And so if you're trying to figure out how your Ford works, how the AC worked back in the day, let me give you a rundown on this car and how this actually works. So in the last episode, we were talking about the thermostatic switch. That's this switch here. There's that line that goes into the air conditioning that reads how cold it is. This is the manual line. So as you slide the temperature control on the dashboard, it moves this line. And that's, remember what I was talking about, breaking the connection here. As you want hot, it breaks the connection. You'll notice it's got this rod that comes over here to this little doohickey. This is nothing more than a valve for allowing vacuum to pass. It doesn't do anything. It is bolted to the top, but there's nothing inside here. It's just a vacuum valve is all that is. And so as you demand hot or cold, it's allowing vacuum to either pass or close. And then that vacuum line goes over here to the vacuum bulb, which then in turn, this is the part that I'm really not sure on. It might come over to the vacuum bulb, but I'm more thinking that it actually goes over to the heater control valve, which is up here in the fender. That part I wasn't 100% on. Finding the vacuum diagram for this car isn't very easy, and the shop manual doesn't have it in it. So it's either to this vacuum bulb or to the heater control valve, which is up inside here, which the heater control valve, all it does is open a valve that allows the coolant to flow to the heater box. And I'm still not 100%. It's either one of those two. And so what this vacuum bulb does is as you request hot or cold, you'll see it's got a rod right here, and that rod actually runs to that little rod right there. And what this is that's the flapper door that's inside the box that opens and closes the fan to go and blow air onto the evaporator. You'll notice that behind it is an electronic switch. And so as that door closes or opens, it pushes on that switch, and then it goes the other way and it releases that switch. These circuits here are the final circuits for the air compressor. So I believe this is, with it out, is in the on position. And when it's closed, it breaks the connection. So you'll notice this green wire here, and then we have two green wires here, and then we have a black wire up here. Well, this black wire is the final wire. That's the wire that actually goes down to the air compressor. This green wire here comes over, and it's one of these two green wires here. So as this takes control, if it gets too cold, it breaks the connection. If you request too much heat, it breaks the connection. Otherwise, as long as it's in operating temperature and you have the slider on the dashboard in the cold position, this stays connected. And then that circuit will come up to this circuit, which this circuit is the same thing. It's just an on-off switch. And so as you would request for hot or cold, and it closes that door, it breaks that circuit or it opens that circuit, which ultimately goes and turns the compressor on. So it's a little complicated. Like, this to me seems like it would be like just not needed, a little bit overkill. Why would you need this if you had this? Because honestly, if you're requesting hot, it's breaking the circuit. So I guess it matters where the door is for the fan. I'm not sure how or why they decided to do that, but that's how that works. I still need to figure this out, and I have a way to figure this out. And the only reason I really haven't said anything is because the way I have to figure that out is kind of a surprise at the end of this video. But for this video, I just wanted to go through and really kind of lay down what's going on here, correct a few mistakes I made on the last video. You know, you get nervous, you say stuff that's incorrect. Like I said, I was going to put a high-low pressure switch on the low side. Well, you don't put it on the low side, you put it on the high side. In that high-low pressure switch, you can see the access port. This is the high side line off the pump, and you can see the access port there for pressures. And all that does, that line just goes down, follows the cross member right there, and then goes up and comes into the pump right over there. And so what I'm going to do is right down in that area, right as it swoops down and gets close to the cross member, I have that pressure tee that I ordered, which is over here. You notice I cleaned up a little bit in here. Apparently I didn't clean up enough to know where the part is that I ordered. It's the problem when you've got a lot of parts and you've got a lot of projects going. Anyways, it looks like the pressure tee. It looks exactly like this, except for on the end of it, it's got a threaded valve that you can take and put a pressure switch on. And the pressure switch is just a simple 2-wire switch, wire going in, wire coming out. As long as the pressures are within range, not too low, not too high, the circuit stays closed and the voltage flows. So real simple, real easy. But that's going to go on the high side. Let's see. So with this car now, what I'm going to do is take the air conditioning box back out. But not only am I going to take the evaporator box back out, I'm also going to take the passenger side fender off and the heater box out, because what I did is a little bit crazy. I actually went and bought a whole nother car just so I could have the air conditioning box. And that's the kind of surprise at the end of the episode. I've been hunting around looking for cars because I need parts for my car as well. So I was looking for a parts car, but I was also looking for a parts car that had air conditioning and had the air conditioning box that I needed. Which checking off those two boxes is hard to do because this is the most important. I need that. I can get the fender, inner fender well and door from pretty much anywhere. So that part I wasn't too worried about. It was this air conditioning box that I really, really, really needed. And so finding a car that, one, had air conditioning, two, was cheap enough to buy because I don't want to spend a lot of money on a car, and then three, had the parts that I could use for that car. So without further ado, let me take you outside and show you exactly what I bought. We'll take a look at that. We'll go through that. I have already actually videoed a little bit on that car because when I first got it, it didn't run. So I did one of those will it run videos. Of course it'll run. You know, it's an old car. You give it fuel, you give it spark, it's got compression, and it'll run. So of course it ran. So let me take you out there, show you the car, and I'll show you the box and why I bought that car. All right, we're back. Kind of a nice day today. I think it's like 75 or something. A little warm. You know, it's fall, so weather's up and down. One day it's super cold and rainy, next day it's nice and warm. So behind you is the new car that I bought for the sole purpose of getting a very clean air conditioning box for the 7-liter. This box, the car is rough. It is rough. I initially bought it just to be a parts car. I was going to take the parts I wanted and then sell the car off and try and recoup back any kind of money I could out of the car. But looking at the car, going over the car, I actually might do a full restoration on this car. There's more video on that I've already pre-recorded. Like I said, you know, I did a will it run, that kind of stuff. Of course it'll run. So without further ado, here's the car. So this beautiful specimen of a 1965 Galaxy is a convertible. And of course the top's not any good. Sorry, I'm tripping here. Of course the top's not any good. That's why I got a tarp over top of it. But you can kind of imagine what the interior is like on a vehicle that doesn't have a top, that's been sitting outside for an unknown amount of time. The interior is hammered, seats are hammered. I actually cut all the carpet out of the car because it was just horrible. So all the carpet's out of it. I vacuumed it out. It was full of leaves and all kinds of stuff. The car came with a couple parts that are in the trunk, a bumper. The actual fuel tank is in the trunk because the lady was that I bought it from was working on it. Well, attempting to work on it. So let me get you under the hood here. She's a mess, definitely. But she's a 352, just like mine. Obviously, it's a little bit older. I've been through this motor a little bit. Haven't spent a lot of time with it because, you know, that's not where I'm at right now. If I do a restoration on this car, it won't be for a little while. But the main reason I wanted this car was for that air box right there. It's in perfect shape. If you look down here, you can see the vacuum lines and stuff are actually still the factory vacuum lines. Of course, they're rotted and split. But if you look at all the hardware is correct. It's never been messed with or changed or cracked. It still has the cover on the top the way it's supposed to. Now, I do have a cover for the 66 7-liter, but I think it's the wrong cover because it doesn't look like that. And then back in there, of course, is the heater box. And so with this thing being so nice and in such good shape, the whole reason that I bought this car, I know it looks rough to some people, but it's actually in perfect shape. So perfect condition, never been messed with. That's what I wanted. And it's honestly, as soon as I saw the vacuum lines that were untouched, I kind of had to have the car at that point. Under normal circumstances, I probably would have never bought this car. And in fact, I probably should have just passed on it. However, it's hard when you need that part and that part is right there. And the only way to get it is to buy a car. So that's what I did. I bought a car, which I need to make some money on this one at least. So the floor pans are rotted through. Somebody's put patches over top of them, and when you see the other videos and stuff on this car, you'll see what I'm talking about. But the pans themselves are only rotted because the top was split and gone, and so it just rained on the interior, puddled water up on the bottom, and it rotted through. It's not due to weather or back east car or anything else like that. So this is a pretty good candidate. The body is in pretty good shape. The frame is a little rough underneath. I don't have a full extent of how bad the frame is. It's perfect in the front, all the way through underneath where the passengers are, all the way up to where the 3-link mounts is where it's just, I'm not sure. It looks weird. I need to get under there and see if someone welded into it or I'm not sure exactly what's going on with it, but I do have a lead on another frame for it, and if that frame comes through, then I'll probably end up doing a full restoration on this car. But for now, that air box is exactly what I need. So, and if I do the restoration, then I'm not going to take the fender and the inner fender well and the door. I'll leave that on this car, and I'll find another one in really good condition for my car. Because honestly, the inner fender well and the door is not in all that great a shape. I wouldn't have picked this car for the parts that I need for my car, but that air conditioning box. So that's what I needed. So this is it. This is the solution to my not being able to find the parts that I need. Sometimes, you know, doing these cars, that's what you got to do. You just got to go buy another car and then take the parts that you need. I can take all of the air conditioning parts out of the 7-liter and put them into this car, or I can take those air conditioning parts from the 7-liter, clean them up and sell them online and probably make a pretty penny, being that you can't find them anywhere. They're not right, but they're good enough to where if you're doing a car, you could put that in your car, especially after I clean them up and put all the right seals on them and that kind of stuff. You could put them in your car and it'd work fine, it'd look fine. That car I want to be perfect because of the rarity of the car. And this is a perfect box. So unfortunately, this car has to suffer a little bit so that I can make that car exactly perfect. But I think in the end, this car is going to win because it's going to be a car that I'm going to put back on the road, going back to car shows. Some family someday will have it and like it and love it and enjoy it going down the road. So that's her. She's not in great shape, but hopefully it's a Lexi now. But hopefully I can make the car be something that'll be worth to some good for somebody someday. So it's not in horrible shape. It's just not in the best shape. So that's all for now. I've got to do a couple other things inside the shop. I've got to finish up my Galaxy so it starts moving again. That's what I'm going to do today. And then this car needs to go to the DMV so they can do a VIN inspection because I bought that out of state. And so I can't take that apart quite yet. I've got all the paperwork done. I just need to put it on the trailer, drag it down to the DMV. So I'll probably do that next week. And then after that's done, then I'll take the air conditioning box out of this car. But before I do that on this car, I'm going to take it out of the 7-liter because even though the 7-liter is a really nice car, the box in it is not perfect like this one. So I want to learn how to take it out of the box on the box that I'm not going to use. And then that way when I get to this car, I know exactly what I'm going to tackle. I know exactly what I need to do. And I can make sure that this box comes out unharmed, undamaged, and I can keep and retain all of the screws and nuts and, you know, retaining clips and cable and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to document that car. That car is going to go very slow, whereas the 7-liter, I'm going to be careful with the car itself, but I just need those parts out. So sometime next week that'll happen, but for now, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I do apologize for that last video, man. I'm still learning, and I'm glad you guys are along for the ride. If you've made it this far in my channel, you know, this is the 3rd video. And I'm trying to grow as fast as I can for you guys, trying to make content that everyone will want to watch and is enjoyable to watch. And I see when I'm editing, believe me, I see what you see. So I'm working on transitions, I'm working on intro videos, I'm working on my acting skills, I'm working on trying to be, you know, more presentable on the camera, not say so much, but you know, when that's the word you use a lot, I guess that's the word you use a lot. But thank you for watching. Thank you for going on this journey with me, and I look forward to seeing you guys again.